Good morning. To carry out the methodological guide, we had to take several factors into account, starting with the definition of the problem. As we know that learning a foreign language is important nowadays, that is why we focused on going to an institution of higher education, in which by making observation, we realized the problems in students learning a foreign language. Since the program offered by the SEP has several deficiencies, the curricular content has not been updated. This problem makes the students not interested in learning a foreign language in a meaningful way. In making the observation, many of the students have a very low level in comparison of those stayed in the PRONI curricula program. Their skills in the foreign language are low, and they are not sufficiently motivated and interested in learning it and are not aware of the importance of acquiring the learning of foreign language in the future. As a general objective, when developing the methodological guide, we want to establish significant change in the students who learn a foreign language through the application of diverse methods and strategies that help the students to develop their abilities and have a significant learning process. Specific objectives. We intended to achieve this by applying this methodological guide appropriately with the right strategies. The students will increase their level of foreign language. After the guide, through the implement of the course, the students will acquire a significant teaching learning process, which at the end of the class session will achieve the aspect objectives in the learning. At the end of the course, students will be able to communicate significantly in a foreign language to the development of their skills. Research question: how English language teaching methods encourage the use of language in the classroom for second semester students? What percentage of students tend to have difficulties in learning a foreign language? What percentage of the second semester do students want to develop their foreign language skills throughout the application of various teaching methods? What are the circumstances in the external context of second semester students that make their academic performance not as expected? What factor motivates second semester students to attend the foreign language for reinforcement courses? Justification. The SEP program indicates that the level in which we carry out the methodological guide must be in the fifth cycle, and the objective is that the students must already be able to understand and use the foreign language to interact with the complex oral and written text. But this is a very distant reality because most have not had significant learning of the foreign language throughout their basic education, and that is why the purpose of the methodological guide is to implement a course that helps students acquire foreign language skills, taking into account the context of the students, their needs, and how they acquire learning.
Next, I'm going to talk about Chapter 2, General Description. It has background of institution, where we are going to implement the project or project. It is in the school, Centro de Bachilleratos Tecnológicos y Tecnológico Industrial y de Servicio número 110, a public high school located in a venue, Martínez de Sonora, Las Fuentes, key 10DCT0002M. The work force is 250 people divided between teaching and administrative staff. The educational institution has an infrastructure of 28 classrooms divided into 7 buildings and an, an office building, a library, a math workshop, a chemistry laboratory, a physics laboratory, a math laboratory, and an English laboratory. Um, it has common areas which are a cafeteria, 3 places for students to rest, nursing, a special building for career or human resources. The campus serves approximately 2,430 students divided into 52 groups in which 8 specialties are offered. In terms of computer classrooms, there are 265 computers in the school, all with internet connections, 46 computers per the administrative areas, and 17 teachers. And then uh, one of them, then we have the previous research um, the previous research on educational topic associated with the project. One of them is research on Universidad Central de Ecuador. Well, we select it because we consider it was similar to our methodological guide. It has the necessary tool to implement in the course, uh, in which students are attracted strategies dynamics that make them increase their learning in the language. And at the same time, we consider the support of the parents and director of the institution. Mm, for to know how can act this. Another similar found in the research is that many times students students learning affected by the context outside the institution. Then we it has implementation of the knowledge technological guide. It it as we know a methodological guide is the systematization and documentation of process, activities, practice, methodology, or business process. The guide describes the different operation of steps in their logical sequence, generally indicating who, how, where, when, and for what they are to be carried out. Based on this, on the collection of data, research scopes, objectives, the elaboration of the present methodological guide will help us to implement in the future a reinforcement course on the learning of a foreign language, taking in account the needs of students. Then we have the dynamics. It has the dynamics in the teaching of a foreign language. In this part, we had to research with another authors. Like in this case, is the author of the theory of surplus energy, Spencer, 1855, in the book Principle of Psychology, comment that the game is meant to release excess energy through movement based on skills theory. As one of the principles of total physical response method, Highfield says, language learning is more effective when it is fun. That's why we choose we select this theory because we consider the students need to be creative or need to spend their time with a good teacher. And then we have the effective learning and learning style. Why? Why? Because it is important to have your classmates, your class with attitude. And that's why it is a fact that learners don't learn in the same way, obviously. And the studies that might work for some might not for work for others, and it is not became of their capacities, but their learning style are not the same. Because in the first part they are practicing some skills that they know, and the other one they are implementing that that the abilities that they have. And then we 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 obtain course learning styles. The course learning styles theory is represented as a cycle in which the learning passes through various processes, which are divided into four: concrete experience, reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, active experimentation. Having in mind the COP says it is necessary for the students to get into the need to communicating of transmitting their ideas, analyzing the experience students carry in connection from experiences. It is grand that we select for our class too. And then we have the multiple intelligence is a theory proposed by Howard Gardner in 1983. This theory argues there are multiple ways of learning based on different ways of processing information. Six of them, multiple intelligences, that are mentioned were that are mentioned for for example, one is interpersonal intelligence, uh, kinesthetic intelligence, mathematic intelligence, um, and naturalistic intelligence that it can help us to implement a good activities for the students. Um, methodology next, it has methodologies in the teaching of foreign language. The teaching methodologies are a set of action aims at organizing both information and activities for teachers to achieve the final objective, which is the meaningful learning of foreign language. The methodology proposed for development of a foreign language course will be of great influence of the teaching learning process because they take into account the different ways in which students acquire knowledge. To evaluate the students' oral skills in English, it will be follow and instruct, read and say goodbye and identify, expressing ability, feelings, possession, and quantitative. Describe objects in the room, places, and animals. They have to know many vocabularies to practice. And then we have the methodologies for the acquisition of a foreign language. One of the most relevant theories that will be implemented in the guide is that of constructivism, since it is based on the observation and a study of how people build their own understanding and knowledge of the world through the experience of the things and reflection of these experiences. According to the Jean, Jean Piaget theory, the stage of formal operation, which is one of the last stages, is related to cognitive development. For Vygotsky, constructivism and social interaction is very important in the process of the cognitive development. According to the Chomsky 1971, that aims in the study the language system of the labs that are drive of the operative analysis of the several different languages. The competition is the system of the language roots inter, internalized by the speakers, which make up the students' their verbal knowledge and allow them to understand infinite numbers of the stage English. Then we have the methodology for the acquisition of a foreign language. It is the use of the language can be only in four different ways. These form are writing, speaking, reading, and writing. According to the Crashing, students have to know different ways, they have to practice different ways to develop competence in the second language. And then we have the implementation of routines and methodological in the classroom. This routine consists of performing an initial reading with the students where they will be consulted about their feelings and about everything's in their life. So students are encouraged to to speak English. Next, we have classroom interaction with implementation of acquirement in order to achieve significant learning through interaction with others. In this part, it is important to practice the first skills that the students know in a group. And then we have foreign language skills where the students are practicing exactly the ways that was mentioned that were mentioned in the last slide, and then meaningful learning, the acquisition of a foreign language. It is where students are practicing with some materials, flashcard, video, visual material, video songs, or working or dialogues with another people. In this part too, is important to practice with a group. And then we have the Piaget cognitive. Psychology promotes a change of perspective in the fields of language teaching, highlighting the need to consider the value of meaning in production, as well as the relationship between cognitive development and linguistic development in the second language acquisition. Piaget explained that the period between 2 and 7 years comprised the pre- preparational stage where children learn to interact with their environment in complex ways using words and mental images. Common European framework of foreign language. It is very important to implement on or course, because depending of this, we're going to know what levels our student have, and what what they need to increase or her level. And then we have macro skills. Macro skills are most commonly referred to as listening, speaking, reading, and writing the English language. And as we mentioned in the last slide, it considers the 4 ways to know how to implement this information on our on course. And then we have policies according to the curriculum of the SEP. The most important program for teaching English that have been implemented in Mexico is primary education, have been state programs and Hub Media in English, the national programs on English in basic education, PNIEB, and the National English Program PRONI. They helps every schools to increase her levels of English, in the country. And that is all for me. um, I'm finished with this.
Chapter number 3, called Project Scope. The purpose of the implementation of this methodology guide is to help students, in this case, second semester students of 70 who will implement course with it easily acquire a second language such a foreign language, hoping that the result of this course will help other teachers in the future to teach a foreign language through the implementation of the methods and strategies mentioned in the methodology guide, improving the student level during a semester of classes in 5 hours per week system. With the implementation of this methodological guide at the high school level, it is intended
that the students acquire significant learning in a foreign language, as well as develop the necessary skills to implement it in every life is a necessary tool today. And expect results and benefits. The results, the methodological guide was created to implement an English course for high school students in which methods are established that help them to put into practice the foreign language classes with different strategies so that the students are motivated to learn and will be able to acquire significant learning and the development of diverse skills in a foreign language increasing to level A1.2 in over 4 months. The benefits, we found 16 benefits, and I'm going to call you everyone. Number one is meaningful learning of a foreign language. Number two, increase confidence in the students' through dynamics. Number three, increasing the level of English through the implementation of strategies. Number four, the construction of the curriculum between teachers and students. Number five, positive impact on a student's teaching learning process. And number six, use of strategies and the dynamics that have a positive impact on students. Number seven, increase learning. Sorry, of a foreign language that is projecting to the grades where they will see their progress in learning the course. Number eight, improvement in the quality of the presentation of projects in a foreign language. And number nine, development of skills in a foreign language that will enable them to hold a conversation with close friends or family. Number 10, application of creative games and strategies in their learning process. And number 11, students will be able to express themselves in a second language. And 12, the use of the guide is maximized so that throughout the students' academic life, they can rise their level in the foreign language. Okay, in making a summary, the importance of this chapter is have the focus of the problem, and for us is improve the level of the students to A1.1 to A1.2 in four in 8 classes, one per week with 5 hours to classes, and that's it.
Our focus group is second semester group section G of the electronic specialty, who are studying the afternoon shift, which present a difficulty in learning a foreign language, adding that many of them are not interested in learning the language because they claim that they are boring classes that do not serve them in their daily lives, as are those of their specialty that are to apply their knowledge in the field of electronics. It has a total of 40 students. We are divided into 34 men and 6 women in the group. We didn't observe any learning deficiency because the students attend their classes regularly and have a significant level of learning, although there are exceptions that the students need to make more effort to achieve the aspect learning. To obtain favorable results in the application of the methodological guide, teachers implementing the course should apply the strategies contained in this guide so that they acquire significant learning and skills in the foreign language. It is intended that the course is not integrated by 35 section on Saturdays in a 9 to 1 schedule, in which section for significant learning reinforcement and development of skills in the foreign language will be implemented. For the objectives to be achieved, the teachers in charge of implementing the course will have to meet some requirements since the students must acquire 80% of significant learning during the course. He or and she must have at least 2 years of previous experience in teaching foreign language and the ability to critically and constructively guide the students in learning a foreign language and a good report in resolving students' concerns. The first is level of English B1 or higher. TKT young learners, 2 years of experience in front of group, be proactive and be in constant teaching, training, bachelor degree in English language teaching, innovate with foreign language teaching strategies, ability to encourage and motivate pupils, great planning and preparation capacity, being able to advance with different pupils, ability to maintain discipline and deal with challenging behavior, ability to remain calm and patent, creativity dynamics to find activities that interest and simulate learning.
Chapter number 5, Educational Spaces. The formative spaces in which activities will be developed will be the single classroom in which there is a computer and projector to apply digital material. As you saw in as you saw, there are in the 70 days there are many classrooms, and we apply the integrative project on Saturdays, and that's equal that we have all the classroom available for us and for the students. The use of the DOM for outdoor dynamics to acquire a requirement of the subject as well as a more significant learning with the application of games, content, etc. That's the same. The 710 have many spaces to apply the games or contest. For example, the Dome, there are 2 courts for basketball and 3 spaces for soccer. And this is there are excellent spaces to apply this game or contest. The strategies. The strategies that we will apply in this integrative project are direct method, Suggestopedia method, total physical response method, community language learning, cognitivism, and humanism. In direct method will be implemented in this course with the purpose of developing the students' receptive and productive skills so that they gain confidence when expressing themselves in the target language. The Suggestopedia method will help motivate the students to enter into context, as students might be nervous or embarrassed when trying out a new language. Considering that learning through movement activities creates a relaxed atmosphere in the students, that's the reason why the implementation of this method at the beginning of every class will be done in a different dynamic so that the students connect to the topic of the classroom, of the class session, separating students into small groups to maintain control of the class so that all the students in the class have active participation. The total physical response method we apply a lot about multiple games because it is built around the coordination of speech as well as action, teaching language through physical activity. By applying commands and action, the students can easily relate to the topic present them in the class session, as the student's memory will be activated each time a response to the class topic is requested. And the cognitivism, the theory will explain that importance as it focus on understanding the topics through daily practice by presenting different strategies that help students to learn previous knowledge and to have an association with the classes. In the humanism theory, will we implement the course since students are on an age that is difficult to understand due to the change they undergo in adolescence. This is why the theory of humanism will help give a positive impact by creating respectful relationships in the classroom and be transmitting energy to students actively. Students will develop their sense of competence and establish high expectation of for success. That's for us, the humanism is the theory of the strategy better for us because all the students in 710 are in one age that is difficult for them study, and is the reason why I choose humanism. And in a summary, to communicate in a new language, there are four necessary skills to reach fluency in the language according to the student's behavior as well as their willingness to learn. Plenty of strategies were adapted for the four skills: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Didactic materials. Uh, the implementation of didactic materials and didactic strategies is very important in the course because they implement each other in order to provide second semester students with significant learning of foreign language. We can use we will divide the didactic material that we use in printed materials. There are the flashcards and worksheets. The flashcard will use appeal to visual learners and can be used to simulate kinesiological learning, as well as being a great way to introduce students to new vocabulary and learn the spelling of each new word. This is so important, flashcards and worksheets, because can, if you want to learn a new language, it's important to identify with flashcards or the name of objects. It's important to learn new vocabulary and remember that we our classes will be with the level A1.1 or very basic level. The digital material are the web quests and games. Web quests, they are an easy way for teachers to start incorporating the internet into the language classroom, but in the short and long term, since no specialized technical knowledge is needed to produce or use them. And games, Taboo, Jeopardy, Huayem, games play a vital role in building student self-confidence. In summary, the didactic materials will be created to achieve significant learning in the students during the acquisition of foreign language and to contribute with techniques to acquire skills in the language as well as to act as facilitators and potentialize the teaching, which will make it easier for the students to acquire knowledge and skills that are useful and applicable in their personal academical lives. And the next are there are some examples for the worksheets and flashcards. And then the practical and theoretical hours. Um, the second semester students are in level A1.1. And the end of the course, they must have a level A1.2 according to the CEFRL. That means that our focus of this integrative project is increase the level of the students por lo menos one level to A1.1 to A1.2. The hours are 45 hours, 2.5 months. In order to motivate the students, classes must be dynamic to catch the students' attention. They must be entertaining without releasing their learning process. The classes will be divided into units. Each unit will have for Saturday class, each one consists of 5 hours according to the lesson plans. And the classes will be one theoretical hours and 4 practical hours. Is the reason why it's important for us the didactic material. And table. This is
This part is from Alondra, and the first is content table. In the table, there are the activities and the strategies that we are used. For example, grammar section, vocabulary section, listening and pronunciation section, reading and grading section, and speaking section. For example, here there are 3 weeks. The first table is first 1 week, unit 1, topic, what I do, functions, providing information on daily activities that are carried or during the day. And grammar section is the how can I help to a student of grammar. And the second table chart is what does he do. The function is requesting information on the daily activities that are carried or throughout the week at specific. And the three in the three chart is the same. In this page, there are some activities more.
As you see, there are 4. The content table are 8 weeks. The first 4 weeks we are talking about the unit is in the talking about the present. The number 5, 6, 7, and 8 is about the past. 20 hours per unit.
Proposal of evaluation strategies according to the requirements of the course. The first is diagnostic evaluation. The second one is formative evaluation, and the third one is summative assessment.
The evaluation instruments according to the requirements of the course is they identify the areas of confusion. They allow students to self-assess their level of learning. They support the building of specific skills and abilities, provide short-term feedback on the daily teaching and learning process. provide valuable information about the student's level of learning, foster the perspective of teaching as a learning process, and support students in monitoring their learning. This is all the topics that we need to apply to for the students to increment their level of English, and our interactive project will be a success.
Evaluation instruments according to the requirements of the course. The first is writing test, oral test, and portfolio. The criterion on and indicator from the interpretation of evaluation results is reading comprehension, listening comprehension, writing expression and interaction, oral expression and interaction, and quality observation.
For example, this is the topics that we are to qualify in the written and written test, in the oral test and portfolio. And the written test, the student receives a sheet and they are to answer and resolve the test. In the oral test, in the school, in our school, in the UTD, we are a topic. They will have a topic, and they need to develop that topic with the previous learn. And portfolio is for have a, it's an instrument that have a,
in the portfolio, we need to have all the activities that we are used. For example, the worksheets or
the daily exercise
yes.
that we previously did on the unit. And
criterion and indicator from the interpretation of evaluation results to be 20%, to do 35%, to know 45%. That we evaluate this rating and oral tests for these numbers. Conclusion. In developing this guide, we realized the lack of curriculum renewal in the English program implemented by the SEP, and specifically by PRONI, because students are certain of significant learning in the foreign language. That is why when developing the methodological guide, we wanted to carry out a proposal that integrates methodological strategies to promote quality learning in students to acquire skills in foreign language more interactively and dynamically. Different approaches were used to implement in a course since the learning needs of the students are taken into account. Many English courses lack innovation and motivation strategies for learners to develop their skills in a foreign language. That is why the content presented throughout the methodological guide subjects several dynamics that encourage learners to develop their skills and be aware of the future impact on their professional education of having knowledge and experiences in a foreign language. Learning is equivalent to acquiring information about reality from the association of ideas, and I can be said that based on these teaching materials and activities were designed that helped me to optimize the teaching of the English language of secondary school students. As future teacher, we must bear in mind that we have to motivate our students and that without a doubt, the dynamics and different methods are good tools to use in English classes.